name is Brianna Sinclair, and this is my 35th week on HRT. If you like my content, please like, comment, subscribe to show me your support, and if you have any specific topics that you would like me to cover, please let me know and just put those down in the comments and I will do my best to cover them. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. As I said before, it is my 35th week on HRT. Quick measurements update. My hips are at 34.5, my bust is at 36, and my waist is at 24 3/4. So the only real change has been in my bust. So I do believe that they're definitely still growing. I have noticed a little bit more this weekend, more than I usually do, because they've been hurting significantly more, which isn't a bad thing, honestly. I get that the pain sucks, but the pain's bittersweet. It kind of means that, like, they're growing pains, so change is coming. Yeah, my emotional state is stable for the most part. I still get ungodly sad whenever I'm depressed, and I do worry a lot. But as far as like my anger and stuff, I'm pretty good at like not showing my anger and keeping that under control. It is hard for me to keep like sadness and stuff under control, just because how it affects me, but I'm getting there. I'm kind of learning little by little to be positive more often and stuff, and I usually am a positive person. I understand that came out really weird. I mean, I just try and like not focus on like the sad things and get through everything that's sad in my life. Sorry, my hair keeps getting in my face. My hair reduction and growth. I haven't really noticed any change so far. My body hair, I feel like it's kind of like slowed down, and kind of like the decline of like growth has come to like a standstill, which is fine, because the reduction I've seen so far has been more than what I thought I was ever going to see. I wish my facial hair would go away, but that's neither here nor there. I'm getting electrolysis at some point to clear that up and get rid of that, because it's really depressing to even see my 3 o'clock shadow. It's usually an all-day shadow because my hair is so dark, and that's what really depresses me, is there's not a time and day where like I look feminine other than whenever I have like a full face of makeup on. And I would like to look feminine at some point without even having makeup on. Breast growth. As I mentioned, my measurements did increase another like 1/4 of an inch. So I do believe that they're growing, and hopefully the measurement stays the same between this week and next week. And like I mentioned, they have been hurting a massive amount. I've had to wear like inserts at some point, just to keep my bra off of my breast, because they hurt so bad. And it's been bad. But I'm getting through it, and I'm happy to see the changes. I can't wait for them to stop hurting, but at the same time, like, the longer they hurt, the more I know that they're growing. So there's still some growth to be had. Fat redistribution. I haven't noticed anything thus far. The fat redistribution I have noticed has been locally to my face and probably my breast tissue because it is getting softer, which is pretty good. I think that's a good thing. My sex drive, still the same. Unchanging, still the same, still as annoying and a nuisance as it was before HRT. Which is interesting. To me, it's interesting. I don't know what that means, to be honest with you, sometimes, because literally every other transgender woman I've heard about, their sex drive falls off, like, completely. Like, it's almost non-existent. Mine literally didn't change. The way it manifested did, because it went from a mostly physical action to an emotional feeling. And it feels good, because I'm emotionally satisfied. I don't need, like, the physical aspect of it. It's the emotional part that, like, I require now. And that's an interest. It's a hard concept, the way I'm explaining it, but it basically means for me to even perform sexually, I have to have that emotional connection. Before, as long as I was, like, attracted to the person, physically, I could perform. But now it's not that way. I have to have a serious emotional connection with them to do anything. And even kind of, like, I guess the moment kind of helps as well. I don't know. It's not something that I really explore because my sex drive has been more of a nuisance than anything else. It's not been something I'm proud of. It's not been something I enjoy. Because in my life I've only had like 4 or 5 sexual partners. So it's not something that, like, I really revere as, like, yay, I can do it. It's more like, I wish it would slow down. And the reason is because it gets in the way. More often than not, it seems to get in the way. Early on in my relationship, let me preface this by saying that I never really had a long-term relationship before my wife. So what I thought was normal, I didn't know wasn't normal. I thought it was kind of normal for people to, like, make love often and just to kind of, like, consistently build that emotional connection physically and emotionally at the same time, and I figured sex was part of that. It is to an extent, but not the level that I want to be at the time. And I figured out that that was not normal, and it was a very weird thing for me to like think about, because it was yet again another way I was different. And so I would, to avoid making my wife think negatively of me, I would just take care of myself on my own, because I didn't want her to think or feel bad that I just wanted it as often as I did, because she doesn't always want to, and she doesn't need to. Bottom line is, I don't need it. I don't even want it most of the time. And even though it is nice, I could do without it. I guess that kind of comes from like my history of like not being in any long distance well, not long distance, but like long-term relationships prior to my wife, but also like kind of the deep understanding that there's so much more than just physical intimacy. And the emotional side is way more interesting. Me being tired, I think that's starting to like teeter off and fizzle out. We recently had some snow days, and I was able to catch up on sleep, so I'm hoping that like I can get to a normal sleep routine. But so far I've not been tired. I've been able to do quite a bit. I've been packing and moving stuff because I'm trying to like declutter like my room and stuff like that, and put a whole bunch of stuff that I don't immediately need into storage, because I'm not going to use it for a while. I'm slowly preparing. My muscle development, it's definitely decreasing. I can see that my arms are getting like thinner, and sorry, my top keeps like falling down, and I'm trying to just adjust for it. This is the first time I'm kind of like wearing a top like this, and I thought it'd be interesting. I'm starting to like gain a lot of fat tissue in my midsection, but I still lose weight, so I know I'm losing a lot of like muscle. I apologize. I know I'm losing a lot of muscle because I can't lift what I normally used to. There are things even in here that I used to be able to lift, but now I can't. So it's gonna be interesting, moving that stuff around. I touched on it before. I'm preparing for surgery or for me to move down to Florida. Because if I lose my current job, that would be the best place for me to go. Not for my rights, but for security. I'd be with my wife, I'd be with our business, and it would give me a place to get back on my feet, because I don't really have that here. I know I don't expect to be in my current occupation for too much longer, but it was nice while it lasted, for the most part. And so far my surgeries haven't been barred. So I'm still hoping that at my 9-month point, which will be next week, I'll be able to get my surgeries on the board and be able to have them, and hopefully be able to plead a good case as to like why I can still have my surgeries. My job's going through a very transphobic moment right now, where they're starting to not provide gender-affirming care. At least that's the intent. I don't know how I'm gonna get my hormones and stuff, but I do know I plan to essentially get them out of pocket, and I don't want to DIY my HRT. I would much rather have stable levels and then continue on by myself. Oh, excuse me. I've just heard of too many trans women urinating blood or overdosing on their hormones because they were DIYing them and they didn't fully know what they were doing. But that's all they could do. And it's because we're in a state that we are that people do that. I chose to transition at the time I did for several reasons. It impacted my job the least at this point in time, so I wouldn't be a hindrance to my coworkers. And it was before it got so bad that I became suicidal. I was consistently depressed, so I imagine it wasn't far from the corner, or it wasn't like far away, but I don't think it should be something that we run away from like that. I had my consultation with Dr. Toby Meyer, and we talked about everything regarding my FFS. He even told me to find 5 pictures of noses that I liked. I got way more than 5, but they all have like a very thin nose with a kind of a scoop, and they're very dainty and sharp. My nose is already small, but I'd like it to be a little smaller. I want everything that makes me masculine to disappear. And I don't want there to be any question whenever I walk out that I'm a woman. I understand the definitions of woman have changed legally right now. And technically, per these definitions, I am no longer a woman. I refuse to accept this because I feel I am truly a woman. Because that's where my dysphoria lies. Ever since I started to go out more as my true self and even tolerate everything a lot more, just so I can show people how we really are. People misgender me, and that's fine. They misgender me because of the way I sound. I understand. I understand how I sound. And I'm working on it. It's gonna take time. Years, even. But I'm not quitting. My transition has been easy compared to most. It's been a cakewalk for me because it was an easy choice for me. The only hard part was dealing with my relationship. I can deal with people no problem. I've been dealing with them my entire life. Well, even whenever I was a kid, I would get called gay, faggot, sissy from people I didn't know to my very family. And these words didn't mean what I think that they thought that they meant to me. I understood that they were being used negatively, but I never understood why they were such a negative thing. But this is how we taught homophobia and transphobia. And this is probably partly why I never knew what being transgender was, or even that it was possible growing up. I knew that people did transition, but I thought it was something that only the rich could do, and I thought it was something that was never fully complete. I'm learning a lot of new things regarding how it works. I'm learning that they perfected the uterus transplant. When I say perfected, I mean they got it to work. It still has a high complication rate, and it's still very dangerous. So I believe that there's a lot that needs to be learned from it as we continue doing it. But it honestly does make SRS seem more real to me. Embarking on this journey, there was a couple things that I had to come to terms with, and one of them was I will never be able to give birth. And I get that. Yeah, I'm never going to have a menstrual cycle. I'm never going to have a period. I'm never going to be able to give birth. But that surgery changes that. Because the purpose of that surgery was to give transgender people the ability to get pregnant and have a child via IVF. I don't know if in the future it'll be a lot a lot safer. I imagine it will. I imagine that in the future, in these other countries that aren't restricted by what they can do for our rights and stuff, it'll become safer. But as time goes on, I feel like we learn more and our capabilities grow and stuff like that. Yeah. The 5 pictures I got were, I got pictures of a friend of mine. They wanted a full profile, which is like my side profile. And I got pictures from a friend of mine, a couple actresses, a couple models and stuff like that, just to essentially show the shape that I'm going for, that I believe would feminize my face the most. We talked about my brow bone shave, we talked about my hairline, we talked about my chin, we talked about my lip lift, we talked about it all. Even potentially voice feminization, which I know my insurance isn't going to cover, but he said they might be able to bargain for it. Dr. Toby Meyer is a very good person that truly cares. He says he's been doing FFS for over 50 years. And with that being the case, and seeing what he's done to my fellow sisters and stuff, I'm hoping it's him. And if it's not him, of the 3 doctors I picked out, if he's the least qualified. And if he's the least qualified, I can only imagine my results being wonderful. FFS isn't designed to change your face, just feminize it, so I'm still going to look the same with regard to certain features that subconsciously make us present masculine. I see that. I think that's enough for today. I could go on a couple other things, like I could talk about like how today was my first day at work in heels. I spent 9 hours in heels today and it felt wonderful. But I think that's it. If you like my content, please like, comment, subscribe. And if you have any requests, please feel free to reach out and let me know. I have a Blue Sky, and I've started to branch out into other forms of social media to assist and create a safe place and a community for my brothers and sisters. This is Brianna Sinclair, signing off.